everybody. I'm trying out a little bit different of a camera today. I'm borrowing my parents' Sony. I just want to see how this works out. I'm experimenting to see which type of camera that I want to get moving forward, because I do want to increase the quality of this a little bit. So we'll see what happens. Most of it's still going to be filmed on my phone. There we go. Words. Just because the microphone's a little clearer than what I'm guessing is on this, because this is probably going to be super, super echoey. In fact, I'm going to take care of some of that right now. Today, I've had a couple of requests to continue with the book reviews, which I am always super, super excited to do. In the last vlog, I think I mentioned that I had finished reading The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah, so I figured today we would sit down and talk about it a little bit. I'm trying out a little bit of like set development and stuff, just messing around. Obviously this isn't gonna be the permanent setup since I'm moving in August, but we're gonna go with this for right now and see what happens. So we're gonna just go ahead and launch right in. Like I said, Kristin Hannah's The Great Alone. It just came out February 6th of this year, 2018. And it is about Alaska in 1974. A girl moves there with her parents. Her dad is a Vietnam War vet, former POW. He got really screwed up by the war, and he was looking for a nice place, quiet place to settle down away from all of the perceived threats. He's a little bit crazy, as you discover going throughout the book, and it's about her life with her family. Her dad isn't the greatest of dads. He's, in fact, rather abusive towards her mom. Yeah, I read weird stuff, it's okay. And it's kind of like a portrait of their family, and it's set against the hardships of Alaska, and like how they grew really close with some of the other people in their community, and how it all ended up resolving itself. There is some romance in there. The main character, whose name I have forgotten, Lennie, short for Lenora, she does fall in love with the cute boy next door kind of deal. And there are a couple challenges in and of that, and there are a lot of surprises in the book that I'm not going to go into because I refuse to spoil books for anybody. I am of the opinion if you want to know what happens, then you can read the book yourself, and I think that is more than fair. But, so that is just kind of a brief overview of the book. Some of the things that I absolutely loved about this book, and I'm pretty picky when it comes to books, the descriptions of Alaska are breathtaking. Like, there are no amount of words to fully describe just how beautiful and terrifying at the same time Alaska is. I went there last summer, fell in love with it, but you get the distinct feeling from everything that the entire state probably wants to kill you. There are bear warnings all over the place, because bears will wander around your front yard no matter where you live. And it's just you get the feeling of rugged isolation when you're out there. And Kristin Hannah, the author of this book, captured that wonderfully. And you can really, really see all of the wonder and kind of not so wonderful parts, like trailer parks and how there's literal trash all over the place up there too. She did an excellent job, and I really appreciate that. Probably more so now that I've been to Alaska than I would have before. I would have just been like, oh cool, Alaska, woohoo! But now it's just like I can kind of feel what she's trying to say at the same time, and it's really, really awesome. I really, really appreciated the main character, Lennie, as well. Right from the beginning, it was established that she was a huge bookworm, and she escaped all of her problems, both when she was younger and when she was older, by escaping into books. One of her favorites was The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings in general, and I absolutely adore that. I don't think there are enough bookworm type characters in literature. And it wasn't just all of who she was, it was just a really fascinating quirk of her. And her reading in the summertime or like on long car trips, it just reminded me a lot of when I used to do that, and that was just a really nice nostalgic type deal. And I feel like a lot of people who read this book go along with that as well. And I just liked her in general. Like, she was very well-mannered child, but she like tried really hard to please her mother, and she really cared about the people she loves, and that was just evidence throughout the entire book, and it was just really awesome. And then I wrote some notes down. I've read a lot of realistic fiction books, and I don't tend to like them too much just because they feel like, yes, they're realistic, but sometimes they're not as realistic as they should be. But I feel like this one, all of the outcomes in it were very believable. Nothing was too much of a stretch. It's just, there were some medical type things that most authors tend to gloss over in hopes of a happy ending, and this author was just like, no, this outcome does have an effect overall on the lives of these people, but they're still gonna get their happy ending anyway, and I absolutely adored that. She has a very good grasp on reality in general in her realistic fiction books, which I think a lot of authors tend not to, which is kind of weird, but at the same time, I guess if you're escaping into a book, you kind of want, you know, not so realistic things at times. And then the final thing I liked about this book, and then we'll go into what I didn't like about this book, was the fact that everything had a really good payoff. Like, the author did a good job tying up loose ends, everybody's character arcs ended beautifully. I really appreciated all of it. The ending was one of the better endings of a book, even if it was a little rushed, and I will get into that in just a second. So, overall, I really enjoyed that book. And those are all the good things I enjoyed about it. The things I didn't like so much were, and I had to write these down as well, it was a little on the lengthy side, and like, I don't mean that in I don't like reading longer books. I love to read exhaustively long books. It makes me happy. Just because I like the challenge. I read Count of Monte Cristo in high school, the unabridged version, and absolutely loved it. Sort of. We'll talk about that later. But I feel like the author did such a slow job building up to everything that when you finally got to the main action of the story, there were only about 100 pages left to wrap everything up. And I feel like she could have cut out some of the scenes, some of the descriptions, sadly, and just tightened it up a little bit and made it flow just a little bit better, and so the ending didn't feel as rushed as it did. Because you spend the first 300 of the 400-page book just kind of going, oh look, Alaska. Oh look, something happened. Oh look, more Alaska. And it's just like, the Alaska scenes were fantastic, but at the same time, it's just like, are you writing a travel blog about Alaska, or are you writing a story? And the editor probably should have caught that and like shortened it just a little bit, but like I said, I still enjoyed the book anyway, so that in of itself wasn't a huge turn off. One of the things, like, she did a great job developing her characters, and when the characters were actually the main focus of the scenes, they were great. But I feel like she talked around the action, especially in developing the chemistry between her two love interests, the younger ones. Just because it was kind of like, oh look, he's cute. Oh look, we like books. And then 150 pages later, they're like, oh look, we're in love. I'm like, well, I could understand where she was coming from. She didn't do a really good job developing, like, the specifics of, like, what little things they liked about each other. She, like, made mentions and allusions to them, like, really caring about each other, but she didn't really say why they cared so much about each other. And she had a lot of secondary characters that I just wanted to know more about and spend more time with. Like, she had one character named Large Marge, who I absolutely adored. And I feel like, yes, part of it is them being alone and dealing with things. That's the title of the book, obviously. But I feel like she could have done a little more interacting with her secondary characters. Granted, they did play huge roles, but they just weren't in it enough for my satisfaction. And then the last thing, which I kind of tend to ding a lot of books for, it was really predictable, which can be good. And in this case, it didn't detract too much from the overall story, but it was just kind of like, alright, we get the picture, we know what's gonna happen. There were absolutely no surprises in it. Okay, there was like one little tiny surprise, but I kind of saw it coming anyway, so it's okay. No, it's just probably because I've read a lot of this author's other books. But overall, I give this book 4 out of 5 stars. I highly recommend it, especially if you're looking for a good book that deals with really deep themes in a very sophisticated sort of way, and one that talks about a lot of emotional issues head on, doesn't shy away from it, and if you like Alaska. So I might write up a review for Goodreads. I do have a Goodreads account. I can link that below if you want to see what all else I've read. Otherwise, I think that about does it for this vlog. I would love to hear about some of the books you guys have read, and if you have any book recommendations that I haven't read, feel free to pass them along. Do so at your own risk, because if I decide I don't like something, or if something really annoys me about the book, I will tear it to shreds and not feel the least bit guilty about it. But at the same time, if I really like it, I will ramble on for solid 10-15 minutes about it, as evidenced here. So just let me know, and let me know if you guys like this, and I will try to do more of it. I definitely really like it, so hopefully you guys do too. And I will see you guys later.